welcome to my video assignment number 2 for Dr. Gargo's strength and conditioning class. So we're going to get started with our warm-up segment, with 10-minute warm-ups. So we're going to start off with an elliptical interval for 3 minutes. We're going to go ahead and get started with doing different variations for warm-ups, and then 6 different modalities with 3 different intervals. So let's go ahead and get started with the elliptical interval for 3 minutes. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna put our hands on as well, so we can flow through our hands, our arms, throughout our whole body. So what we're going to be doing is going through an advanced procedure. So right now we're just going to go ahead and raise as well as get movement and mobility, so we can go ahead and put some resistance to it. So we're just leading up their resistance, and we're going to go ahead at a good pace. We're going to do this for about 3 minutes and slowly increase the speed as the 3 minutes, up until the 3 minutes. Right here, we'll also go ahead as well as increasing our heart rate, blood fluid levels, warming up our muscles, as well as increasing our range of motion, flexibility in our hips, our legs, knees, arms. And then in this next minute, we're going to go ahead and increase our speed a little bit. Especially while doing agility work and high power movements throughout our body. We'd like to start off with a good warm-up, full body warm-up, just like this. It works great because you are getting movement in your arms, your chest, quads, hamstrings, a little bit of calves, getting that full range of motion throughout the whole body. Make sure you're warming up, having a good warm-up. And then also, as well as following along with some dynamic stretching as well. And that'll be it for our 3-minute interval. Next, we're gonna go ahead and do some jump ropes and then a quad stretch and then lead into our dynamic stretching and sport specific warm-ups to get ready for those agility drills. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so now moving on to our next part of the general warm-up. We're gonna have jump ropes. This helps a lot with our explosiveness, getting our calves warmed up. Goal is our body as we jump, working on lower extremities, and making sure we're having an explosive bounce up with a short range. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We'll do about a minute of these. You can do different types of jump rope activities. Right now we're just gonna do it regular jump ropes for a minute. You can do crossbody, you can do skips, whatever ones you want to implement into your general warm-up. They always work best for different types of explosiveness. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with a minute of jump ropes. Go ahead and finish it off. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our last part of the general warm-up, the stretching, and go ahead and do our sport specific ones. Okay, so for our next general warm-up, we are going to be doing standing quad stretches. So we'll be doing this for about one minute. We're going to do on two sides, 20 seconds. So go ahead and get started. Make sure we're getting a good stretch throughout all. Go ahead and do it on the other side again. Okay, then we're going to do the last ones. There we go. Now we're gonna go ahead and move to our sport specific warm-ups. So for our first one that we're gonna have, we're gonna go ahead and do trunk rotations. So we'll do like 20 trunk rotations. So for about a minute. Sure we're rotating all the way through. Just make sure we're going at a nice and slow pace. Don't want to go too fast or else you'll cause injury. And you just want to fully stretch all the way back. Couple more. Okay. And then the next one, we'll do lateral lunges. So we'll go ahead and do lateral lunges. Do once again for about a minute. We'll do about 20 lateral lunges, 10 on each side. So go ahead and step in. Make sure you're feeling a nice good stretch down your hamstring. Do 10 on each side for 2 times. Hold for about 1 or 2, 3 seconds. Once again, we're just going through that ramp protocol, going through all the motions, activating all of our muscles. And here in a couple, we'll hit that protionate, hitting protionate through that ramp protocol and our next steps. Go ahead and do the other side. And do our last side. Go. And then for our next one, we're gonna go ahead and do A skips for the first half and then B skips for the second half. Making sure we're opening up our hips on each one, making sure we're getting a good wide, and also knowing the difference between A and B skips. So we'll just go ahead and do some going down and then going back. Okay, so now we're moving on to our A and B skips. So once again, we want to know the difference between both of them. B skips would be a more higher knee. A skips is kind of going outward, working on more hip mobility with that. So we'll do 10 A skips, or about 10. We'll go from, I don't know the distance, but we'll go from this white line to the outer red circle and then coming back, and then doing B skips and then coming back. So we'll go ahead and get started. And now we'll go back. And we'll go ahead and do our B skips. Okay. So now of that, we'll go ahead and do ankle scoops, making sure we're getting a nice good calf stretch going down, and also our hamstrings as well. Do the same thing, go into the outer red circle and then come back in. for our last and final one, we'll go ahead and do leg swings. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Our next exercise warm-up, and for our last one will be leg swings. So we'll do about, get it started, do about 10 on each side. This is a really great warm-up, especially before any type of running or any agility. Getting an increase in your range of motion in your hip and getting a good hamstring stretch. You want to keep a straight leg. And we'll go ahead and switch again. Straight leg, kicking out as far as we can, kicking back as far as we can. Okay, and then we'll switch to the other side. Okay, and then that will be it for our sports-specific warm-ups and our general warm-ups, following the ramp protocol. And we'll go ahead and get to our first exercise modality. Okay, so for our exercise modality 1, we're going to go ahead and do resistance sprint exercises. And for this one, for exercise 1, it's going to be forward resistance sprints with a parachute. So for our first variation, we're going to do parachute sprints. Very straight up. We're going to start, so we're going to make sure to get everything ready. And we're just going to stay in kind of an upward position, making sure we're driving our hand. And that first step, we're making sure that it's very powerful. And our first step, just to get that forward resistance, we're going to go about 2 yards, and then we're going to come back again. So we're going to get started. As we're going all the way through, powering, a good hip drive. Then we're going to be going on to our second variation now, which will be parachute side takeoffs. So we're going to stay on the side and then quickly do a quick 180 turn and drive off. And then we'll do that again for about 2.5 yards, making sure we're going at a full sprint, full pace. We're going from there, and then we're going ahead and coming back. So for our third exercise, we're going to be doing parachutes. at a 3-point stance. We're going to try to do a little bit higher knee drive whenever we get in a 3-point stance. We're just going to want to continue that power. Make sure we're getting a good lift, kind of like a lift off as soon as we get in, and just drive our hips and drive our knees into that motion. So we're going to go ahead and get started, doing it for another 2.5 yards, and then coming back and doing it as well. Parachute didn't shoot up again, just due to the wind, but that will be it for our first exercise modality using resistance with parachute. For our second exercise, for exercise modality number 1, we're going to do uphill resistance sprints. We're going to start off with uphill sprints at a straight up position, coming up, and then driving all the way up, obviously walking back down. And then for our second one, we're going to be doing uphill sprints, but with a high knee drive all the way through. And then for our last one, we'll be doing a turn and sprint. Then we're going to be going ahead and doing 2 times back up for each one. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Okay, so we're gonna go back down and we're gonna go ahead and do a second one. Make sure we're keeping a continuous drive all the way up through the hill. That'll be for our first exercise, then we're going to go ahead and do the high knee drive for the second one. Okay, we're going to go back down, and then we're going to go ahead and do our second one. For this one, we're getting a really good high knee drive, especially at the end. A little bit steeper, so we need to make sure we drive those hips all the way up. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and be doing our last variation, which is a turn, staying squared up, then to a turn to the uphill. That will be completed for our first exercise modality. Okay, so now we're gonna head up to our exercise modality number 2, agility ladder using lower body agility. So we're gonna go ahead and do forward movements. We're gonna do 3 different variations with this one. We're gonna start off with an in and out drill. So this one's depending on, always on ladder drills, depending on your expertise and your performance on each one. Depends on how quick and how much movement you can do. You don't want to start off too fast as a beginner and do improper footwork. You want to go at a really good set pace that is comfortable for you, so you can execute the drill properly. So we're gonna go everything through a slow pace and then a medium pace. So we're gonna go ahead and do the in and out. So we're gonna start in, come out, in, out, all the time, and then we're gonna come back as well. So we're gonna go ahead and do it at a medium pace. And make sure that we're getting good, proper placement in each drive. Make sure we're planting firmly. We're gonna go ahead and give back. This time we're gonna lead off with our left. That one. The next step that we got will be a forward step. We're gonna go ahead and do 2 feet in at all times, and then coming back again at all times. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with our right, going back, we're coming with our left. And we're gonna go in with our left. Then our last one that we're gonna do for the first exercise will be an Achy shuffle. So we're gonna go in, have 1 foot in, and we're having 1 foot in at all times, kind of hitting it double as we come in, having 2 feet in the middle, and then going back out from that shuffle. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, starting off with our right. And coming back with our left. Okay. That'll be it for our exercise number 1. We're gonna go ahead and move to exercise number 2. Okay, so for our exercise number 2 variation, we're gonna be doing it on our lateral movements now. We're gonna do 3 different variations. So we're gonna start off with the side step. So basically we're gonna go ahead and do kind of 2 feet in, and every time kind of trying to avoid a hopping position, make sure that we're going as fast as we can, driving through every motion. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna start with our left foot coming in, and then coming back will be our right foot. Ready? So for our next one, we're gonna go ahead and do an alternating foot exchange. So we're gonna go in, come out, and then we're gonna go ahead and do it on the way back as well. Making sure we're still doing a quick foot movement in and out, and driving a bit of our arms as well. We're gonna go ahead and get started. The position, you don't want to be too straight up, or else you're not going to get a good motion and your balance will be off. You want to kind of stand at more of like an 80-degree angle and making sure you're driving in as much as possible. I'm going to go ahead and go back. Then for our next one, and our last variation, we'll be going in, coming out, forward, reverse, go forward, and then reverse back into it. Go ahead and get started. That will be our aiming for exercise modality number 2. So moving on to exercise modality number 3, we're gonna use reaction drills with reaction ball. Our reaction ball is gonna be our tennis ball. So we're gonna have for our first exercise is wall bounces with 3 different variations with each one. We're gonna start off with alternating hand catches. So we're just gonna go ahead and do about 10 catches. Go ahead and get started. I'm gonna have my friend up in the front, and I'm gonna toss the ball, and as it comes down, he's gonna catch one-handed only. And this is working well with working our hand-eye coordination and our reaction time, making sure we're reacting on time, not too early or not too late, making sure we're keeping a steady hand placement. One last one. So this works well. As the ball's coming down, we want to make sure we catch it on time. If we catch it too early, we'll slip up and move from our position. If we catch it too late, the ball's going to drop on the floor. So next, now we're going to go ahead and do hand call outs. So I'm going to throw the ball, and as soon as it's kind of dropping down, we're going to go ahead and say left or right hand. He's going to have to catch it. No matter what side, he will need to catch it on that one single hand. This again is working great with good hand-eye coordination and quickness speed. Ready? Right. Right. Left. Right. Left. Left. Right. Right. Ah, that's good. Okay. So now what we have doing, as you can see, you're having to use as soon as it calls out to react as quick as possible. If not, you will drop the ball. But this is working. That was a good exercise drill that works with reaction times and reaction speeds. So next, we're gonna do a little bit of balance as well, working into it. So he's gonna be on one leg, alternating hands, throw the ball, and try to catch it. It's working well with going with hand-eye coordination, working with balance. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna do about 10 once again. We'll do about 5. We'll do about 2 more, and then he'll go ahead and switch legs. So that will be for our exercise number 1, using wall bounce. Now we're gonna go ahead and move back onto the field for our second exercise. So for our second exercise, we're gonna do ball tracking. Now we're gonna do lateral movements with ball throw to track. So we're gonna do hand-eye coordination as well. This time we're gonna use both hands, or you can use alternating hands, whichever choice that you wanna do. It works better. But as he's gonna do a couple throws, and then at any moment he will throw the ball up, and I would have to turn and make sure I grab it before it hits the second bounce on the floor. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with this. So that'll be for the first variation. Now the second variation, I will be at a constant shuffle, and I will have to be tracking down the ball with a single hand. that would be for our second one. Now for our third and last variation, we're going to be doing forward and backward movements. So I'm going to be at a constant movement, backpedaling, catch the ball, go back to the blue line, backpedal again, catch the ball, move back to the blue line, and then he'll throw it back and I'll have to go ball track. This is working well with constant movement with hand-eye coordination. This works well with a specific sport if you're including tennis, where you're having constant motion, trying to hit the ball, as well as ball tracking, making sure the ball is coming towards the racket. You can do this as well in other various sports that you may have. Any specific racket sports as well. Works well with this type of drill. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, orange basically back. So that'll be it for our ball tracking portion. We're gonna go ahead and move to our next modality. So for our exercise modality number 4, we're gonna be doing reaction drills with partner. For our first exercise, we're gonna be doing mirror drills. This is very good for reaction quickness, reaction time. Good for different variety of sports. The different variations could determine on different variations of sports as well. There will be a lot of sports involving basketball, football, some soccer, as well as tennis as well. It could, depending on the reaction change to get to the ball. Anything that kind of has to do with ball movement works the best with these kind of drills. So for our first one, we're gonna get to it. It's gonna be a stop and go. Well, we're gonna have my partner here. We're gonna go, and he's gonna make a movement, change, and then kind of do a hesitation where the opposing player or your teammate has to go in that direction and kind of anticipate where that movement is going. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so that was the stop and go, where you're kind of going in a continuous motion. So next will be our continuous motion, which is going to be a side shuffle. This one's going to be continuous throughout. There's not going to be a stopping. Making sure you're getting that quick reflexes throughout all of it. Go ahead and get started. So that'll be for our side shuffle. That's working great. Make sure that at each one we're staying at kind of a low profile. Depending, you can move it based on depending on your position that you're doing. So if, say for example, you're a lineman in football, you want to stay in kind of like this position, a ready position, where at 80 degree, your chest is up, and you're kind of moving side to side. This will be a great drill, especially for those, for any soccer players. Make sure you're just in a good, ready position with a nice upper chest. Making sure you're getting on that ball movement. So next we're gonna do a forward and backwards. And for this one, he's gonna stand in front of me. He can move either forward, to the side, on any adjacent angle. This works well with any football or soccer techniques, defending the ball or trying to be a defensive on a receiver. So let's go ahead and get started. So that'll be for our first exercise, and then we're gonna go to exercise number 2. We're gonna be doing, for our reaction just with partners, we're gonna do in a trail formation. So they're basically kind of like a follow the leader. He's gonna be behind me and kind of try to mock my movements going forward. It's a little bit harder just because you don't have any motion on where my body's gonna go. So you're seeing from the back instead of seeing my eyes and my hand movements on where I'm wanting to go. So it's a little bit better focusing on a sharper focus and sharper coordination going along the lines. So we're gonna start ahead and going with a trail forward motion. So we're just gonna go start over here. So that would be for our trail forward. Next, we're gonna go into a reverse position where he's gonna have to counter my reverse movements on each one. That'll be for the trail reverse. Make sure we're getting a nice proper distance between each one and make sure that we're staying low in toe, kind of above our toes, making sure that we're keeping an even balance going on each side. Make sure we're switching our hips within every movement change so we can get a good direction and nice power going throughout each route. So next we're gonna go along this line. We're gonna go about a yard. Yeah, about a yard to the dot. Doing a forward trail shuffle. So he's gonna follow me all throughout the swing, throughout each sprint that we're going to. Okay, so that would be our exercise modality number 4. So next, moving on, we have exercise modality number 5. It's gonna be hurdle speed drills. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with forward movement hops. So we're gonna do 3 different variations of forward movement hops. So for the first one, we have forward speed hops. We're gonna do two jumps in. And we're not planting as slowly. Where as soon as we plant, we jump back up and keep going as fast as we can. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Make sure we're driving our knees up. We hop, and we're gonna go ahead and go back. Then for our next one, we have hops with the quarter turn. So we're gonna jump, When we go down, we're gonna turn and then jump back up, and then keep doing that as soon as we go. So we'll be at a little bit more slower pace. Then go ahead and go back. Then for our next one, that'll be a jumping stick. This one we're gonna make sure we go all the way down, coming at one, and then exploding back up. Then we're gonna go ahead and go back. That will be for our first variation of our exercise. We're gonna move on to number 2. So moving on to our second exercise, we're gonna do a lateral movement hops. So we're gonna start off by using a single leg. So we're gonna start with our left, coming in at a slower, more pace, making sure that we get it correctly. So we're gonna go ahead. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and move with our right as well. So that'll be for our first variation, and then for our second variation will be double leg hops. We're gonna go ahead and start. And it's gonna be a continuous motion. And we're gonna be going back. Okay. And we're making sure that we're keeping a nice, good planted motion, and then driving up as well. So next we got lateral high knees. So this time we could be going back to our full set. And this is kind of coming back to sort of like an A-skip positioning. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna start with this, driving with our left, and then coming back, driving with our right. Then we're gonna go ahead, go again with our right. Okay, and then that will be for our fifth exercise modality. So moving on to exercise modality number 6, we're gonna do open agility drills with cones. So right now we're gonna have box drill set up. We're gonna have to do 3 different variations of box drills. They're all gonna have to be doing with quickness and power. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the first one. It's gonna be box drill callouts from a length position. So we're gonna go to each one, calling out. So we have each numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each one we're gonna start from a length position, sprint to whatever number is being called out, lay down, and push back up as quick as we can to go to the next number. So let's go ahead and get that started. 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so for the next one, now we're gonna just have the box drills, but this time doing a backpedaling to each one. Same thing, we're gonna do number drill callouts, going to each one and figuring out that one. we'll start off on
2, 3, 4, 1.
So next, now that we did the reverse, we're gonna go ahead and just do regular with forward sprint, making sure we're doing a nice cut at each cone and pushing off as fast as we can to hit the other cone.
1, 3, 4, 2, 1.
So that would be the 3 different variations for the box drills. Now we're gonna move on to our exercise number 3 with cones. So now for our second exercise, we're gonna be doing 3 different variations of cone drills. Our first one now is going to be cone chaos. What this entails, we're gonna have 2 opponents. So me and my partner Isaac, we're gonna go ahead, different goals. We're gonna, as soon as we start, we're gonna try to pick our own individual ones. He's gonna be the solid cones, I'm gonna be the open cones. And it's kind of like a race, having quick and fast movements, making sure that we're doing hand-eye coordination as well, trying to pick up the cone and run it back to our spot as quick as we can. So let's go ahead and get started on this. I have lost, but that would be cone chaos, and we'll be moving on to our second variation, which will be number callouts. We're gonna have the same position, so Isaac or me will be each calling out which cone that we'll be picking to. So let's go ahead and get onto that. So for our next cone pickup drill, we're gonna be doing cone callouts. So we're gonna have our arrangement of cones. We kind of have it in a diamond formation. I'm gonna be standing center in front of the hurdle, and my partner's gonna go ahead and call out what cone to go ahead and pick up. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. He can call out any cone at random. I have to go ahead, retrieve it as quick as possible, and come back and be ready for the next call out that he has. This is gonna work great with movement and power and cutting as soon as we go and hear that number. Let's go ahead and get started with this drill. Ready? 2, 3. Go, 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 go. Come on, come on. Fast back, fast back. 4. 1. Come back fast, fast, fast. Nice. Then that will be that one for our second variation. We're gonna go ahead and move to our third variation, where it's gonna be shuttle cone drills. So let's go ahead and get that started. Next, for our last variation, it's gonna be shuttle cone drills. So what this entails, we're gonna have the pickup from the first one, sprint to the second one, pick that cone up, place it down, sprint to the third one, pick that up, pick it down, and then on the last one, on the pickup, we're gonna make sure we do a full, kind of full power sprint all the way through with the place down. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So that would be it for our modality number 6. We're gonna be going on to our cool down stretching. So that would include all of our 6 modalities, going from different types of agility, different types of hand-eye coordination, power movements with sprints,
So now we're gonna go into our cool down. So right now we're just all raised. We have some lactate building in our muscles. So we're gonna try to get loosened back up, lower down our body temperature, our muscle temperature, and to start that off, we're gonna do a 5-minute jog. So we'll just be jogging in this vicinity. So I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. For this last 2 minutes, we're gonna do a nice steady paced walk. So now, as we're coming to our last final minutes, we're gonna be just going into that cool down phase. So now we have our lowered heart rate. Our heart rate's lowering down. Our temperature, body temperature is coming. We're starting to feel a little bit more relaxed now. So as we finish out these last minute of walking, we'll go ahead and do some nice stretching. They're more catered to stretching after doing specific agility workouts. Make sure we're focusing on stretching our hip flexors, our quads, hamstrings, calves, mostly all of our leg muscle groups. We will do a little bit of our back, but not really focusing on stretching out our chest, just because we didn't do as much focus on our chest muscle groups, our upper body muscle groups. It was mostly our lower body. So as we finish up here, we'll go ahead and get started on that. Okay, so our 5 minutes is up. So now we'll get headed to our stretching portion. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do our stretching portion. So we're gonna do about a minute each of stretching. So we're gonna go ahead and do our first one is the piriformis stretch. We're gonna keep our leg out in front, our other leg crossed, knee bent, and we're just gonna reach across like this. We're gonna hold for about 20 seconds. Make sure we're getting a nice good stretch. Stop. We're gonna do one more time. Make sure we're putting a little bit of pressure right here to make sure we get a good stretch right here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move along to our other side. That same motion and putting this arm back so we can get a good stretch back here. So just making sure that we're getting a good deep stretch within our hip muscles and our glute area. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead, move on to our next one. It's going to be a spinal twist. So we're gonna go ahead and lay down on our back, keeping our leg forward in front of us, with a knee bent, keeping our arms extended and coming out. Stretch. Make sure we're opening up our chest. We're gonna hold it for 20 seconds. For this one, we want to make sure that we don't come up and open up our hips. We want to make sure everything's flat on the ground. We're gonna go ahead and do it again. Make sure we're getting a good stretch in our backs, once again, in our hip location and our glutes. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and then do it on the other side. Then, leg straight, knee bent. Arms out in front, and opening it up. Hold for 20 seconds again. And do it one more time. So that will be for the spinal twist. Now we're going to be moving on to our next one. It's going to be the figure 4. So we're going to go ahead, lay flat on our back, have our legs up, keep our knee bent laterally on our side, and then have our hands kind of interlocked and pull up. So this is gonna help our range of motion in our hips as well as in our buttocks, and make sure we're getting a good stretch through there. Once again, we're going to hold for about 20 seconds. We're going to do it 2 times on each leg. We're going to go ahead and move over to our other side. Do it one more time. And then we're going to do our last one. Which is going to be our standing calf stretch. So we're going to go ahead and we can go right here. I have something propped up, and we're going to do a lean forward. We're going to keep our toe and heel down in a flex position, and we're going to lean forward until we feel a good, nice stretch all the way down our calves. We're going to hold for about 10 seconds on each. Okay, go ahead and switch. And do it again. Okay, and then now we're gonna be doing our last one, which will be a hip flexor stretch. It will work the hip flexors as well as doing a quad stretch as well at the same time. We're gonna go ahead and get down, leg extended, and go ahead and stretch, get into a deep stretch, making sure we're feeling it all the way down our quad. As well, if we could put our hands to help stabilize our hips and give a good stretch through there as well. We'll hold for 10. And we're gonna do it again. Make sure we get into the stretch where it gets somewhat uncomfortable, but not into a comfortable pain. Make sure we're allowing the stretch to fully go down our quad as well as our hips. We're gonna go ahead and do the other side. We're gonna do one more. Okay. Then that will be it for our cool down, and that will be it for our hitting our warm-up. Through the warm-up, following the ramp procedure and protocol. So we started off by raising our heart rate, raising our body temperature, muscle temperature, blood viscosity levels, then hitting our 6 different modalities with 3 different variations in each one, and then ending it off with a good cool down and cool down stretching. So that would be it for our video assignment number 2 for Dr. Dorogo's strength and conditioning.